Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa. This is Lefty with Doc and Lefty coming to you from the Webcast One Live Studios. You know what? I'm going to get into frame here. How about that? I didn't want to be leaning too far to the right of your screen. That
would be awful. Then you'd be in my territory.
That would be bad for business. But anyway, we're coming to you from the Webcast One Live Studios here in beautiful downtown Des Moines, which we do every Tuesday night from 6 to 7. And if you tuned in last week, I sincerely apologize. I didn't mean to go for 45 minutes about how much Margaret Thatcher didn't mean to me as a political observer, but I had to fill some time because the good doctor was out traveling the countryside. Well, he's back. Doc Petrosh is now back in the studio with us. Good to have you back.
Well, thanks a lot. And I did catch quite a bit of the show. As you know, when you travel, sometimes the internet is spotty, but I caught a lot of it. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, it did sound like you were taking every opportunity to beat up on a poor old dead lady.
Well, you know what? First of all, I feel like she's probably tougher than me beyond the grave, number one. Number two.
and that's true. She's tougher than both of us.
And number two, I tried to be, in the early going, see, this is what happens. In the early going, I was trying to be at least diplomatic.
Absolutely.
And then I was told by a little bird that diplomatic doesn't push records, and so it doesn't make for good radio. And
yes,
so I had to really kind of talk a little bit about what I really thought, actually have an opinion and comment on some of the stuff that was going on surrounding her passing. And here's the one question, just in follow up to last week. The big controversy now, and I know that we got a lot to talk about, and so
absolutely. Plus, we have guests.
We do. But the one thing that I wanted to pick your brain about, and I was missing you when you were here, or when you weren't here, and I wish that you'd been able to call in, was the big controversy now is that they're having an argument about whether the state should pay for her funeral.
All right.
Now, like a lot, and it's not just the sort of the leftists over there and the coal miners who didn't have much good to say about her, but a lot of people. In fact, I think they took some kind of poll that said that there was majority, like a slim majority, that wasn't in favor of her getting a state funeral. Now, I don't know the history of Great Britain as well as you. I know that Winston Churchill, I think, got one, but I don't think that it was very lavish. Can you elaborate on some of that?
They as you know, it's constitutional monarchy. Mm-hmm. They reserve much of the state-paid funerals, weddings, all that stuff for the royalty.
Right.
And Margaret Thatcher, as you pointed out last week, was a mixed bag. And I think she did a lot more good than she did negative, but like most leaders, she had her good points and her bad points. Now, one of the things that, Winston Churchill got a state funeral, so did it's not Wallace Simpson, that's the gal King George abdicated for. Who's the
I couldn't tell you.
Oh my goodness! His name flew right out right before. Chamberlain. Chamberlain had a state funeral. So basically, the prime ministers get a state funeral. But Margaret Thatcher was such a polarizing person that I think there's a lot of resentment over there. And of course, they're in the middle of an economic crisis, just like the rest of the world.
And they've been having government sanctioned austerity for the past couple of years. And I guess the question is, first of all, the prime minister doesn't mean as much to Great Britain as the president means to us.
Well, absolutely.
And so a president having a state funeral, even the most ardent anti-Reaganites when did he die? In the early 2000s? No, 90s. Died in the 90s.
Well, somewhere. He died.
Right. Or even Nixon. Okay.
Take Nixon. He got a state funeral.
Take Nixon. Nixon laid in state just like every other president in the Capitol Rotunda. And everybody who hated Nixon, said, well, we didn't like him, but this is president. This is what he gets. And so I think that it makes sense for us because we have a different kind of a government system. A prime minister, it would be kind of weird to me to see Tony Blair, for example, get all the pomp and circumstance because he's just the head of a party.
Well, and that's true. He's not the head of he's not the head of the UK. Yeah. No, he's not the figurehead.
Right.
We combine
David Cameron too.
Absolutely. Yeah. We combine a lot of things into our president and vice president. When vice presidents die, they're laid in state as well. They get a state funeral. Mm-hmm. But the Britons, their heads of state are still royalty. even though the power of the purse string, so to speak, resides with the people, the prime minister is not the head of state.
And the prime minister doesn't even get a title until much less. She wasn't dubbed a baroness until after she was out of power.
Yeah, that's true.
You're raised as the prime minister is raised up in the party from the House of Commons, so you're not even of the royal bloodline.
No, absolutely.
And so to me, I feel like there is a little bit of a little bit to be said for the opposition to a state funeral. In this time of austerity, I know that you have a big problem with leaders throwing lavish parties that cost millions of dollars, and this funeral was estimated to cost over $1 million for everything they wanted to have done. And I assume that it's already happened at this point, and I think it happened over the weekend. But the controversy kind of still has been maintained. So I wanted to see what you thought about that. I think that we're kind of in agreement.
Well, and I think unfortunately we are. And crazy enough, that happens on this show
every once in a while.
And I. A couple of things. I thought Margaret Thatcher made a lot of hard decisions that she had to make in order to get their economy kind of out of where it was. Now, on the other hand, I will tell you, one of the things that I really think backfired on her, which is often overlooked, is she criminalized drug use. And when she criminalized drug use, their jails and prisons exploded. They had so many people behind bars, and I cannot recall the name of the next prime minister, but within 60 days, this prime minister had reversed that law, medicalized these drugs again like they do, and suddenly their prison population's cleared out.
And people are getting treatment and the whole thing.
Yep. And that actually, taxing all those drugs actually helps their economy quite a bit.
Well, and she had a troubling relationship with her, troubling policy with respect to homosexuality. In fact, there was an all-out ban of teaching anything about homosexuality in public schools, where and in every phase of the government where you couldn't have government work. You banned from all levels of government homosexuals were. Troubling policy with respect to apartheid in South Africa. There were a lot of different things about her that in this country, I think, because of how close she was to Ronald Reagan and because of how much we admire folks who govern from conviction. And we really do.
Yes.
I mean, one of the things that sucked a lot of folks in about George W. Bush in the early days of his presidency was that he governed with conviction. And I think that one of the things that has made the opposition to President Obama so, I don't know, easily qualifiable.
Quantifiable, you bet.
Both qualifiable and quantifiable is that he doesn't strike people as ruling from conviction or governing from conviction. He strikes people as speaking with conviction, but his government, his policies don't necessarily have that behind it.
That's right. Now, we have a really good show coming up. We got Des Moines' most famous female comedian going to join us today. She's not quite here yet. She was down at the High Life, which, apparently is a hangout for comedians. And so
I've been very funny there a time or two.
So we're going to have her on. Her name's Morgan Hart. We're going to discuss a little bit about this Dr. Gosnell horror story going on in Philadelphia. I don't think anybody's going to agree that this is how things should go. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Boston bombing and some of the rush to judgment that's been going on since it happened. We'll be back right after the break. This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. You're listening to us on webcast1live.com. Thank you for tuning in.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosh and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, this is Lefty with Doc and Lefty. You know, one of the advantages of having the captain's chair is that I get to bring the show in every once in a while. And if you notice the change, and a few of you I'm sure did, then just kind of to explain how things are going is that I need to lose a lot of weight, and I feel like seeing my corpulent face on camera will be the more often than Doc's will be the impetus that I need to get going.
Well, and I agree. You know.
Oh well, thank you very much.
Yes, the corpulence. Well, because earlier you started out and you only looked like you were half the man, right?
Oh,
and then you had to scoot over.
True.
I was going to tell you, man, you're looking good on camera. And then we got the full shot in.
I feel like that the easiest way for me to take care of this is to have half of my body surgically separated from the other half. But
there for a while you're looking good.
I know.
You were like working out.
I know.
Trying to lose weight.
Oh, I had lost the weight. That's the thing. It's just
then it came back.
I get lazy, and this is what happens after a year.
Well, that's how it goes.
Yep.
So, the next subject I want to talk about, and Lefty knows, Lefty, there's things we poke each other about, just to have fun. Lefty knows this is not a subject he ever pokes me about, but there's a guy named Dr. I think his name's Harold Gosnell, and he's out in Philadelphia, and he ran this abortion clinic, and it was a clinic of horrors, and he's been charged, I believe, with 22 counts of murder of a fetus of a baby that was born alive, and the death of at least one woman. And I've talked about it on Facebook. A lot of my conservative friends have talked about it on Facebook. A lot of my liberal friends have talked about it on Facebook. But what has been strangely missing is the media. Fox News covers it, of course, because it's a conservative issue. But, this trial's been going on for 6 weeks, right? You can't go 2 seconds without somebody talking about Jodi Arias. However, this horror, this comedy of horrors, there hasn't been any real coverage of until about the last week or so. If you find coverage, it's usually on the back page somewhere. In the last 3 or 4 days, the mainstream media, NBC, CBS, ABC, have been coming and doing more and more coverage. This is the thing that I want to point out to some of my liberal friends, and that is, there's been laws passed that you're not, as a physician, I get inspected every so often. I get inspected from Medicaid, Medicare, Blue Cross. Occasionally the state comes in just to make sure everything's running fine. There are several laws out there that say you can't even go in and inspect an abortion clinic. Well, fine. I understand it's a political statement. However, it's still a medical clinic. Now, being pro-life, I think I can even get a Lefty to agree here. Things shouldn't have been run like this out in Philadelphia. Not ever.
You mean a doctor killing people? No, that should never happen.
And that shouldn't. And it's one of these travesties where, this went on for years, and had there just been some kind of oversight, just some kind of reasonable oversight, we could have avoided a lot of the bloodshed that went on.
Well, this is my question to you, because I think that you've said a couple of different kinds of things over the last few weeks when you're talking about this. First of all, I know that in Iowa, the state agency that regulates clinics and doctors and practitioners of medicine, whether they be MDs or DOs or chiropractors, even just anything where there's a health oversight, is regulated by the Department of Inspections Appeals, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, the DIA.
Yes.
And those are the folks that come in every once in a while. They don't come in very often because they got a small staff, and they're also the agency. They oversee hairdressers. This is one of the things that our good friend Ed Fallon on his show that you can listen to here on Webcast One Live talks about a lot. The overregulation of certain kinds of trades like barbers and cosmeticians and lots of different things that I would tend to agree with him on. When I first heard that the young woman who cuts my hair had to get board certified, through the state, I thought that was absolutely just insane.
Yeah, because my mom can cut my hair.
Exactly. So, but here's my question. So, do you know much about Pennsylvania's health regulatory infrastructure? That
I've been
I would be surprised that Planned Parenthood doesn't. They do other things besides abortions. They perform medical screenings and services and gynecological exams. I would be surprised and shocked to learn that Planned Parenthood doesn't get inspected by the DIA here in Iowa.
They don't.
How do you know that?
Well, because I was researching it when I was, when it first all happened, I thought, well, this is ridiculous. How can you not have a clinic that's inspected? How do you not go through, and because they go through, now they don't go through all your records, but they take a sample of records and go through and make sure everything's fine. Mm-hmm. One of the things that has been passed with, these abortion fights back and forth, between liberals and conservatives, that's one of the things that's been passed on a federal level is they view that as, trying to restrict an abortion. And therefore, if you go in and inspect these abortion clinics, that's not legal. And it's really kind of funny. We had we didn't have a similar thing to Dr. Gosnell, but we had a similar kind of controversy here in Des Moines with Dr. Harold Reamer. He was a gynecologist. This is my son's 25. This would be close to 25, maybe 23 to 27 years ago.
Okay.
And they came in and wanted to inspect his office since he was an OB-GYN. He then claimed, well, I'm really an abortion clinic, and there was a big dust up. And then he decided to move, and the process of moving, he moved, and they wound up not inspecting him, and it was a big old fiasco. And then there was some impropriety apparently with Medicaid and Medicare. So, that's how Harold Reamer wound up.
Well, I find it a little bit interesting that there are a lot of claims out there, and here's what I find even more interesting about this, because I haven't followed this story. I usually make it a rule, just for my own personal sanity, not to follow these trials that are really of only a regional interest. For example, I think the last quote unquote national trial that I watched with any kind of curiosity was the O.J. Simpson trial back in the early 90s.
Yes.
So I was little, and it was a little kid, and I was a Bills fan, and I thought O.J. was innocent. I'll say that on the air. I didn't follow the Casey Anthony trial, for example. As a person that deals with a lot of this stuff, and I've never dealt with a murder or anything approaching this level, but as a person who deals with this kind of stuff all the time, first of all, I wouldn't want any kind of cameras or any sort of like public, media footage in a trial that I was involved in, and I make it a rule that I'm not interested. It's that community, and I feel that making this a political issue it's a little bit strange to me, because just to compare the other side of the abortion debate, Scott Roeder killed an abortion doctor in Kansas.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, and I do because I watch this show every single night, the only media outlet that reported anything about Scott Roeder's trial was the Rachel Maddow show.
Yeah.
And she is an avowed liberal who has her own media platform. The national media didn't cover that trial at all, and so if there's this, if there's a liberal bias to the media, you'd think that, well, here's a right-wing terrorist that killed this abortion doctor.
Yes. And
so I think that I don't think there's any sort of like cover-up going on. I just feel like it's a regional matter. He killed and this is going to sound really crass, but he didn't kill a cute white kid.
Well, there's a lot of different things. He also didn't use an AR-15, which would have gotten him national attention had he killed 22 kids with an AR-15.
Well, that's in the zeitgeist right now, I suppose. But
yeah, so
this is and also
it's just awful. We can agree that it's awful.
Well, no, it's absolutely awful. But I think that there have been a lot of folks that And a lot of, similarly with this this tragedy in Boston yesterday, who have rushed to the political side of things. Now, we're probably going to talk about some of the political implications, some of the things that we've both kind of seen and read about this, and when we get to that segment. But it always feels too soon when people die.
Absolutely.
And whether it's a school shooting or a bombing or an abortion doctor murdering people, babies and patients in his clinic, it always seems too soon. And there always seem like there are a bunch of people that are ready to jump on that line.
Trying to profiteer, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, our special guest, Morgan Hart, is in the studio. She's brought a friend with her. We will be back right after the break. Be prepared to laugh and be entertained. Is that too much pressure on you, Morgan? Yeah. All right. We'll be back right after the break. Listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Welcome back. This is Lefty with Doc and Lefty here in the Webcast One Live Studios in Des Moines, Iowa. We are here every week, every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. And I got to tell you, Doc, that the quality of guests that you get to this show never ceases to amaze me.
That is absolutely right. I met Morgan at a all-female comedy review. When was that? 2 years ago now?
Yeah, December of 11.
Yeah, something like
5 chicks and a mic.
Yeah.
Up at Billy Joe's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I Ben Herman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. I was gonna try and make it out to that. And I think I had a gig that night.
Yeah,
he would not have been in the 5 Chicks show.
No, but his ex-girlfriend, I believe, was, or current girlfriend. I don't want to. Yeah. I heard about that.
Well, it sounds like there's a story there, so let's hear it. We're all about ratings.
I don't know if I should be airing one of my best friend's dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, back down now.
No, he's a great comedian, hilarious comedian. Sometimes you just make poor choices with who you date.
It's true, and then it's also one of those things where we don't want to get into something where the person has left the state and can't. And can't comment on it.
She is in witness relocation, actually.
What's that?
She went into witness relocation. She's under protective care.
Oh, I understand.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I don't really know.
This is great segue from Dr. Gosnell and the abortion whores right into
I know. Well, here's the thing: we are so rarely funny on this show that we forgot how to do it. But anyway, let's talk to our guests if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Take it away, Lef.
So, Morgan.
Yes.
And Ashley.
Yes.
Okay. How are you guys doing?
Well.
Very well.
Well, good. So, are you both from Des Moines originally?
No.
Where are you from?
Perry.
From
Iowa.
So basically you'd like West Des Moines Light.
Yeah,
West Des Moines. Sure.
West Des Moines Light.
Yeah.
but you
the Midwest.
Right. It's a pretty good area. But tell and Ashley, where are you from originally?
I grew up in Longmont, Colorado.
Okay. And what brings you to Iowa?
An ex-husband.
Hey, ex-spouses are fantastic.
The best decision of my life.
Really? I
Yes.
bet it seemed so at the time.
No, I loved that decision. Wait, getting married?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a dumb choice.
No, but at the time. It felt like the right thing to do.
No.
Oh man, you see.
Well, people who were already there at the wedding. I mean, it kind of would have been a bad time to call.
There was a lot of pressure
You had to go
People
through
were
with it.
expecting cake.
There was a nice guy. He's like, "Will you marry me?" I was like, "I don't know, sure."
Oh man, I do have to tell you, as someone who's been through it myself, I got to say that when the preacher is staring you right in the face, you got to come up with something. And yes just feels so much better than no.
It's like, I suppose you're all wondering why I gathered you today. It's to tell you, no, I don't want to get married, but thanks for the presents, and this dress is really pretty.
Yeah, and thanks for all dressing up.
Yes.
That you look really, really great. Everybody in the crowd. So tell us a little bit about what I don't know, like
what's going on this
comedy.
weekend?
Oh, it's not this weekend. It's actually next weekend. It's the
Oh,
26th.
Yeah.
see,
you have
oh
a
my
good-
God!
you have
I
a
bet you
good
I have
coming
to
up.
cover the fights this weekend. I'm getting it mixed up, Left. You have too much stuff going on.
Hey, no, it happens. It happens.
Female
But you-
comedy fights, roughly the same thing.
Well, is
Yeah.
this another all comedian review?
Yes, it is, except for the one male. We have one male comic, I believe.
Co-host. But I believe he will be in drag.
He will be
no
transforming throughout the show, slowly transforming into a woman.
So it kind of sounds like Doc and Lefty here. One of us transforms into a woman by the end of the show every time.
You
don't
know,
we?
I don't. Are you? If
It
that's
depends on who's wearing the Spanx.
well, we both.
That's you're gonna draw
It's
the line.
not either one of us. If we are, then we need to get a refund because they're not working.
Because I'm hanging out.
Yeah, but if that was meant as a dig at me, I don't know that degrading women is such a good idea when we have ever. It's not a good idea.
No, it's never a good idea.
ever.
I was just trying to give both of us some crap.
I don't know. Sometimes they deserve it.
Yeah,
Well, do you have an example?
Casey Anthony. She
Oh,
deserves
no.
That's sad.
That is a sad story.
if you
I
can't
don't know.
laugh
I
at
mean,
yourself, though,
Snooki.
who can you laugh at?
Snooki, we can make fun of Snooki.
I make fun of myself.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
fair enough, but not because you're a woman.
Probably. I mean, not
Unless guys have-
entirely.
yeah.
I mean,
Some problems are just woman problems.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know a
Absolutely.
single guy that has a hard time dialing on a phone because his breasts are too big. That's
Well,
a,
I know
that's
a
lady
couple.
problem.
Yes, that's true.
a couple of guys. You know, a
Yes.
couple of guys. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't have that particular problem.
universal truths. That's what we're all seeking.
Yes, absolutely.
So okay, so what's going to be happening at this event? And where? First of all, where is it?
It is at Circa 21 Speakeasy in
Okay.
Rock Island, Illinois.
Right on.
And there will be stand-up comedy, sketch. I think there's a burlesque.
I think that sounds
Part.
right.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, a PG,
Some improv.
PG, I'm assuming.
Torque singing.
possibly.
That'd be fantastic.
Probably some crying. I think we're going to do one of those all-girl pillow fights you see in movies as well.
See, now you feel really dumb.
I do, because I now know it's next weekend when the fights have to
Yeah.
cover, so I won't be able to make it. 'Cause
Yeah.
my brother lives over there.
Well, here's the other so what, as now this is all kind of set up. You know, it's not going to be an open mic at all. I
No.
assume. Yeah.
Right.
How many open mics have you guys hosted?
Have I?
I haven't hosted.
You
any.
never hosted one? Mm-mm. I hear that comedy. I used to host. I was in a band and I used to host a lot of like open jams, that sort of thing. I got to feel like an open mic at a comedy show is so much better than anything else that anybody would ever want to do. But you guys haven't done it, so I didn't.
I've done it.
Oh, you've done it.
Yes,
Okay, how did it go?
It went well.
Yeah.
I found that usually as a female comedian, when you get introduced, if the guy is normally doing it doesn't know how to introduce you, it's like, this next comedian is a lady and something about anatomy. And then, so I just throw it back. It's like, this next comedian is another white guy with a beard and mommy issues.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So-
There's a
That
lot of
fits
them.
both of us.
There's a lot of them. There's a
You
lot
guys
of
want
those.
to come to the next open mic?
We might. Well, we're going to be right back after the break. We have Morgan Hart and Ashley Huck with us. Ashley's from Colorado, and Morgan's from Northwest Des Moines almost. And we'll be back right after the break. This is a long one, so if you have to, so please tune in and make sure you watch our sponsors, which allow us to keep the studio open. We'll be back right after the break. You're listening to us on webcast1live.com.
Lead, owner, and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I am administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Sounds exciting. Hey, welcome back. This is Lefty with Doc and Lefty. We're here with two really lovely, intelligent, fantastically talented comedians.
Otherwise known as ladies.
Oh, well, I was just going to let their work speak for themselves. We got more.
Well, but you know, being the right wing radical here, I have to be sexist in some way. I thought that was my role.
Hey, you got I guess you gotta leave with who brought you.
So that's right.
But anyway, you got a gig here coming up in a couple weeks in Rock Island, Illinois. And did you name the venue? I can't remember if you did.
Yeah, Circa 21.
Circa 21. That's right. Okay.
Yep.
Now is that? See, I haven't been to Rock Island in a long time. It doesn't matter because people have GPS on their phones at this point. They'll be able to find it. But we're talking over the break about sort of what brought you guys into comedy, and if you I found it intensely interesting. So I'm sure that our listeners would find it interesting too. So Morgan, what led you into this life that you're leading right now as a comedian and performer?
So far today, I didn't actually get started until a couple years ago. I waited until I finished college because comedy's kind of always been a dream, but not a realistic one. It was get out of school, work, the American dream and stuff. So I'm new and I'm just still exploring it. And yeah, I don't know. There's not just one thing. It was just when the time came, I'm doing it. I'm going on stage. And
was it one of those things where Christmas, Thanksgiving, family get-togethers. Morgan, you're so funny. You should blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And a lot of that?
Yeah.
Except your mom probably didn't say that a lot to you.
No, she said, shut up, you're annoying.
I remember wanting to be, when I was little, wanting to be a stand-up comic so bad because I read comics and I liked all that kind of stuff. And my mom and my grandma sat me down both together. I got tag teamed at a Thanksgiving. They said, Blake, you're going to school and becoming an engineer. None of this stand-up comedy stuff because you'll never make a living. But you're doing really well. Both of you are doing really well, from what I hear. And so, how often are you on though? Ashley, what brought you into comedy? First of all,
I started doing comedy, I guess, when I was little. I used to write sketches.
Yeah.
The first time I did a stand-up bit, was in 8th grade in front of my choir class. It was pretty inappropriate, so I'm not going to repeat it. But it's just one of those things I've always really loved making people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I have a very dry, sarcastic wit most of the time. And so my friends call me Little Larry David. I say those things that people don't want to say, but everyone's thinking it. And so just from that, I drunk friends being like, you should be a comedian, and me being like, that's what I've always wanted to be. And then finally,
I agree with you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm hilarious.
This is why we're friends. We agree with each other when we're drunk.
So how long have you been doing it then?
It will be, 3 years in October.
So you're both kind of new to this.
Yeah.
Kind of fresh.
All right. Good.
What's your gig schedule like? How often do you perform?
Well, lately it's just really light for me. I have a child and work and all that stuff. So for me, it's maybe once a month, just when I can work it in.
Sure.
For me, it's whenever I can get a show. There's a really great local scene in Des Moines for comedy.
There is. There really is.
Great. You mentioned earlier Ben Herman, who actually moved to Chicago for a new radio job, but he was hilarious. A lot of the guys in the scene are really great, putting on really good shows. And it was just a matter of, it kind of got oversaturated slightly for a while, but now it seems like we're on the up kick again to start getting out really good shows and really good lineups. And so I think it's just a matter of circling everyone through again and bringing fresh faces back to it rather than the same 7 people that have been in shows for.
Yeah, people need to come to some open mics.
Right.
It's usually the same 12 to 15 people.
And actually, if you're listening, there's every Tuesday night at House of Bricks, 8 p.m., so right after this show.
Right, yeah. Hey, right after tonight. Tonight, are you going there right after this show?
And it's free admission, $1 beer. So
You can't beat that at all.
And maybe you'll laugh, who knows?
Well, hey, but see, for
or maybe
free,
you think you're funny and the rest of them suck, so you could go up.
Yeah, well, we all know that that's not true. But here's the question that I have. I mean, well, first of all, for free admission and $1 beer, if you laugh, it's a bonus, in my opinion. But do you find the community? See, I play music around town, and the local music community in Des Moines is very oversaturated with really talented people, which for a guy like myself really sucks.
Now I got to defend Lefty on that. Lefty is really talented. He really is, and it's amazing to watch him play. I think he's a great guitar player, but then he's got this harmonica. Does a great job with it. So if anybody has a chance to see Lefty, you ought to go. So.
Well, thank you for that. But the point is, like, even though there's a lot of people, it's been my experience that we try and support each other. Go to each other's shows when we can. Is the community? I know the comic community. Maybe you said it was saturated. Kind of maybe people cycling back through. Good lineups. You're performing a lot together, which bands don't do very often. But is that you find a lot of mutual support, a lot of encouragement, help with bits, that sort of stuff in Des Moines?
It really depends. Comedy is actually very self-servicing.
Yeah, you're not there to.
Yeah, it's just a
You
bunch
don't
of people.
want other people to be funnier than you.
Right, it's just a bunch of people in a room that are like, oh, why would anyone like me? I'm stupid. And then be like, I'm so much cooler than everyone else in this room.
We were all the special kid to our parents. The special. You can do this. This is you. And so now you have all these stars and awesome people fighting.
But there are really supportive people in Des Moines comedy. You seriously just go out, and if someone wants to try it. You might be awful at first. You might be incredible at first. You don't ever know until you try it. And
we know everyone knows it's an open mic. You're not supposed to go up there and you're not going to kick butt every time. Not even the comics that do comedy all the time. That's what open mics are for, to try stuff out.
So what do you think the advantage of having an all-female comedy night is over a typical comedy night, let's say at the Bone or someplace else?
I think your audience better. You can kind of expect what you're going to get out of an all-female show, and that is a majority of female audience or people that are interested in that type of comedy. Some people say women aren't funny, so I don't go see women, or their jokes are just going to be about tampons and bras. And
that actually, I think an all-female lineup cycles those people out, because there are a lot of people, even in a show with like 4 guys and 1 girl, and I've had people like, you were much funnier than those guys, and it's something that initially, I think in those kind of setups where it's 4 guys, 1 girl or whatever, there is that uphill battle for some of the audience members who already have that stigma of like, well, female comedians are awful. I'm going to hate this. I'm going to better go get a beer.
Right. Well, here's a question that I had really quick. And it's not, it's kind of, you can kind of compare the two. You can kind of compare live music to comedy a little bit, although I feel like comedy is a lot harder than playing a gig, just because, and if you guys know Doug Stanhope, obviously, right?
Yes.
He has a bit where he starts this bit and then he just repeats it over and over and over, and he goes, "That's what songwriters do," and it's really hilarious. The whole thing is really hilarious, but we can sort of you can go to your friends' shows and things of that nature, and there'll be a guy like, oh man, he's a much better singer than me, or he's a much better guitar player than me, or whatever, or what have you. But if the band is like a different style or a different genre of music, then that sort of like takes that threat back a little bit, right? There are lots of different kinds of comics. Some are dumb, like prop comics. Unless either one of you guys are prop comics.
Both of us.
Ah, damn it. You see? This is why you should be doing the most of the talking.
Morgan's not a prop comic. She's just a get up there, tell funny stories comic.
Would you, there's observational, there's the monologue one-liner. What do you guys like to do, or what feels most natural?
With stand-up, it's just storytelling.
Yeah.
Kind of,
But so it all devolves to the funny. That's my point.
Right.
So,
comedy is so subjective. What's funny to one person might be super offensive to another person. So you're never going to make everybody in an audience happy.
Right.
Yeah.
But that should not be your goal. And I think most comedians keep doing it. It's because if you can get 7 people or 1 person to laugh at an audience of 20, you're still like, well, those people liked it, so that's still enough for me to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you guys are playing, or you guys are performing out at Circa 21 in Rock Island, Illinois, and that's next Saturday.
Next Friday.
Next Friday, the 26th.
Yes.
And it starts at 7, you said?
Starts at 7.
All right. And so if people want to take a road trip over there, they could take off after work, have an entire night of it, all kinds of different entertainment.
They have a ton of bars down there, too.
Yeah, and for more information, there is a
district.
Facebook page for the event.
Okay.
It's That Time of the Month Comedy Facebook group, so you can see all the girl performers.
And you all have Facebook then,
yes,
too?
all
Morgan's
on
got
Facebook.
one. Ashley Huck. H-U-K?
H-U-C-K.
H-U-C-K. So, and Morgan Hart,
I feel like that's a
H-A-R-T.
stage name. That's a little too on the nose.
Is it?
Well, I'm just saying.
It was originally Ashley Poyer, but with the divorce, I went back.
Oh, I see. With the
Original is better.
Yeah, no, it's way better.
So now you can say stuff like "Go huck yourself." And
I've always been able to say that. That's my maiden
is that
name.
it? Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah, you probably worked that in.
I think we
Oh
just
no,
found
that
our
was
t-shirt.
my 8th grade humor. I was
Yeah. Oh, sure.
I was
Well,
a
that's where
struggling
we're stuck.
rap artist at that point.
Well, thanks a lot, girls, for
Thanks
showing
for having
up.
us.
There will be at Circa 21 in Rock Island next Friday at 7 p.m. Be a great road trip for some of you guys out there, especially some of our younger listeners. Thanks, Morgan and Ashley, for showing up.
Old people don't like funny stuff.
No, the old people do not. They don't like humor.
They don't.
We'll be right back right after the break. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Troche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Lefty with Dr. Lefty. And we're, when you're doing this show, the way that we do it, which is to say, by the seat of one's pantalones, certain things kind of escape you from time to time, and maybe the format gets a little bit mixed around. I know that with schedules and stuff that they had to get going, but it would have been nice to have them a little bit later, because now we're going to talk about the latest American tragedy. This is just awful. Yeah. This story is awful, and
got God bless Boston.
It's been in the news, and we got to say something about it. Doc, do you have family in the Boston area at all?
No, but I got one of my very best friends from Florida, George O'Day. He's from there. I should give him a call. But it's really just a tragedy. They claim they have a Saudi man in custody. That's what they said yesterday. Today it was bombs were apparently pressure cookers.
Well, they were questioning him. He hadn't been arrested. He was at the hospital, but that was yesterday. He was at the hospital, and they were asking him questions about why he was running away from the scene.
Well, like
anybody would be.
Yeah. And the problem really is people that profiteer off of this. And when you have a tragedy, what people initially think is almost never right, because you're coming into it from your own emotional perspective, from your own views. Everybody has a filter they view life through. And, if they see a Saudi man running from a bomb, or just a dark-skinned man running from a bomb, oh, he must have said it. Or, if you get a guy like me, just for the record, we're going to start filming a show that I hope to release to the Food Network. This is why I'm looking the way I am. But I understand I look like a scary biker guy. And if I'm running away from a scene, I expect people to go, hey, listen, this big giant biker looking guy is running away. I understand all that. But when you start talking about we immediately should shoot all Muslims, which is what a person on Fox News, I believe, said yesterday. I know it was Fox News. I just don't know it was this morning or last night.
One of the commentators? No.
A guest that they had on. And, saying stuff like that doesn't help you. Coming out and saying, well, geez, it's a what do they call a false flag terror attack by right-wing extremists. I don't think that's any more responsible. The truth of the matter is there is a tragedy that happened. 3 people are dead. Several people are missing limbs. Several people are severely injured. Up to 100 people have been injured. This is not the time to start pointing fingers, trying to profiteer from this. The FBI, believe it or not, the FBI does a good job finding out who did what. All right. Sometimes they make mistakes, like everybody, but they'll find out who it is.
And they've got every. I was on the radio on the way over here. I heard that every police officer, some 2,000 of the local city police officers in Boston, had been called back to duty today. Yeah. Yet they have literally every cop on the beat working this crime. And it's funny that you bring all that stuff up, because it doesn't make sense to me, just from a logical standpoint. Maybe I'm too reasonable. I don't know. I'm sure there's some conservatives out there who dispute that, but it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever that anybody would immediately jump to any kind of conclusion, because the people that inform the media are law enforcement, and they're a little busy right now. And so how any of these, and I didn't watch any of the 24-hour news coverage about any of this stuff, so I can't speak to any of it. But just take your 2 examples, the Muslim or the right-wing extremist stuff. Who's letting those folks on these shows do they have some sort of inside information with the Boston PD or the feds? I doubt it, because you know what? The people with inside information are working on the case right now. They're not going on TV at 3 p.m. on one of these cable networks.
Well, and this goes back to a point that I've made several times, and that is the culpability of the media in fostering a lot of this stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. They're trying to, it's big news. They're trying to sell advertising. They're trying to sell papers. They're getting any clown on there that remotely has any kind of not reliability, but
perspective.
Yeah. Anything like that.
And you can have bad perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other thing is, and I'm going to call, I understand, the White House probably has a lot more information than we have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at this point, especially with no groups calling in for responsibility, none, I think it's irresponsible for the White House to call this an act of terror.
They didn't.
That was
one of the staffers said any attack like this is sort of like it is like an act of terror. But they haven't come out and called it a terrorist act. They haven't come out and said anything remotely like that. And also, when the president was speaking yesterday, he couched everything in this sort of, we're going to find these guys,
Yes.
we're going to do whatever we need to do. And so it was a staffer that came out and said that. And I think that's jumping the gun, but that didn't come out of the president's mouth.
Well, but it's still from the White House. And the bottom line is, when you have NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News calling it terror, I don't think that's responsible reporting at all.
No.
Because by its very
They don't know what's going on.
It's not terror. By its very definition, nobody has called to take responsibility. There's no political motivation that they've been able to find yet.
Nope.
It's just...
Well, and it's the weirdest kind of thing. And the reason, and I think the reason why, is, well, not the reason why it's not an act of terror, but one of the reasons why it's such a confusing story to try and report, it doesn't fit into the narrative of one of these mass casualty. Well, it was an attempted mass casualty event.
Yeah.
There were a lot of casualties, but not a lot of death. But no, it wasn't somebody going in and shooting up a mall or attacking the Super Bowl. I mean, the Boston Marathon is a really, really big deal. It's a big deal internationally, and it gets a lot of eyeballs. But if you're trying to hit somebody or trying to hit a group of people, it's not going to happen. And if you're trying to hit a large number of people and get the most attention, you're going to have it at the end of when the winners cross the finish line.
Not 2 hours later.
Not several hours later. And it's not in a singular place. Everybody is stretched along this 26.2 mile route that it doesn't, the attacks didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help any terrorist organization. Now my good friend Tom O'Brien, every once in a while he calls in. He usually covers the New York City Marathon, and I had the privilege a couple of years ago of going out and covering the New York City Marathon with him as part of the medical team. And I can tell you, the winner comes by, and it's a good 20 minutes before the next guy comes by, right? And then that guy comes by, and then they start to trickle in, and then there's a big mass.
Yep.
Usually about an hour after the first guy crosses. There's people everywhere, right? This entire time watching. They want to see this big mass. As soon as that big mass of people goes by, which takes about an hour for all that to go by, there's hardly anybody there. If you watch the video in Boston, comparatively speaking, there's a lot of people there. Comparatively speaking, there's hardly anybody there.
It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse, but it's just the timing. Did this guy just muff it?
Well, but see, here's one of the things that the BBC reported on, and once again, no one knows anything for sure. There has not been independent verification by law enforcement authorities about anything. They had initially reported that 2 people were dead. Now they can confirm that 3 people are dead. They initially reported that there were other things that law enforcement detonated that could have, that there were 4 bombs and 2 were found and were not undetonated. That had turned out not to be true. Law enforcement went around and detonated things that looked suspicious, and they didn't confirm that any of them were incendiary or bombs. They tried to link the fire at the hospital, and that was they couldn't link the two. And so there's just a lot of questions, a lot of things. But one of the things the BBC reported on, but couldn't confirm and said that, was that they had been detonated with cell phones. And you see that a lot. You see that a lot in TV and movies and stuff. I don't know that you've seen a lot of that in American bombing history, because most of them were pipe bombs or shipped through the mail with the Unabomber over 20 years.
Yeah,
and so that's a little bit more high tech, I think, than we've seen recently. But if that's the case, then and they were in place for the mass casualty event, then why didn't the person or persons detonate them when the biggest mass of people went through?
Absolutely. There's and you know how I like my conspiracy theories. There's conspiracy theory out there that this is really set up by either a left-wing extremist group or a right-wing extremist group, depending on who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. In this false flag terror attack, there's several things associated with it. I'm going to tell you that I think that we just need to relax, wait till the FBI does its job, because I know a lot of these guys, they're dedicated professionals. They actually go through bombing school and figure everything out. These guys can take, let's say this right here, this piece of our equipment. Let's say that's how big the bomb is, because you can get a lot of C4 in there. They could take a piece of metal, a millimeter wide or millimeter square, basically, be able to figure out what it came from, how much C4 was underneath it, all kinds of stuff. They just need to find the pieces, and they'll get it put together.
They'll reverse engineer it. They'll get it put together. They'll figure out how it was detonated. I mean, bombing people, like people who bomb stuff, bombers are hard to catch sometimes.
Yeah, look at the Unabomber.
Yeah, they didn't catch him for 20 years. They didn't catch the Atlanta Olympic bomber until a few days later, and that's because he was picked up for something else.
Yep,
Tim
absolutely.
McVeigh, same thing. One of the things I will take a few people to task on the conservative side on some of the responses, and these no national conservatives. They're just friends of mine, people that I different things that I saw, and I really shouldn't probably even bring it up, but because it's we don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to get your perspective on it, because I see a little bit of a sort of a sour grapes, like a schadenfreude kind of thing from some of these folks saying, well, now we need bomb control. Now we need cell phone control. Now we need ball bearing control. All this different, because of all this stuff. And first of all, I mean, now folks on the gun control side after Newtown said, no, this is the perfect time to talk about it. But I see it as a little different in the sense that, well, they were talking about doing something to prevent one of these kinds of attacks from happening. A good faith effort to say, look, 26 people died. It was because of guns. Let's try and figure out some of guns, right? That was their point.
Absolutely.
This point seems to me more like, hey, jerkwad lefties, 3 people died from a bomb. Now what are you going to do? And that seems like really callous, really just sort of, it feels different. It doesn't feel like a sincere effort to make something better. It feels like, poking somebody in the ribs and saying, hey, look, you can't fix everything.
Well, now I understand your sentiment. My issue with this is no time to be making a political argument one way or another. Mm-hmm. Just like Newtown. I mean, there was a meme out there that said, conservatives are evil because guns cause the problem and we need to get rid of guns. Well, here's the truth of the matter. The same thing that happened in Boston is related to the same thing that happened in Newtown.
From a psychological standpoint?
Evil individuals perpetrating evil in different ways. What we really need to do now, specifically from my perspective, I'm going to take a lot of people to task on the liberal side that said, the bombing is terrible. We think it's a left wing or a right wing extremism. There's a lot of people just like you on Facebook and on the liberal media that said, a lot of this can be related back to, our war on terror and the rest of it. Well, all that's ridiculous. We don't know. But I am going to tell you that one of the key differences that I have with a lot of the lefties is we need to start looking for bombers and we need to start looking for shooters instead of looking for bombs and looking for guns. A bomb is just, I don't know what bomb this was made. Timothy McVeigh was fertilizer.
Yep.
You got to have fertilizer to make food.
But I will say this. I knew I had a feeling you were going to go there, and this will be my response to that. After these kinds of especially after Oklahoma City, ammonium fertilizer became a lot harder to get unless you were in the business of using them. Yeah, a random guy like Tim McVeigh now finds it harder. A lot of the ways to make bomb, but
he doesn't, because he got his stuff. He did go out and buy a lot of his stuff, but this stuff is sitting in fields in rural Iowa. You can go, if I go down to Indianola, I roll past all kinds of farms with this stuff sitting right out there for stuff.
What I'm telling you is that bombs are hard to make. They're illegal to make. You would get arrested if they found evidence of a bomb that you were making in your apartment, and that the ways that people the methods people use to construct bombs are dangerous. And a lot of the instruments they would use to make those bombs are difficult to get because they're limited in national distribution. And we don't see as many bombers as we see shooters because guns are easier to get their hands on. So I think that there is a complete difference between the two. And regulating bombs and bomb making materials has made it more difficult for people to make bombs. Vice versa, it's really easy to shoot a lot of people.
You know, we're going to have to finish this argument right on Facebook. So you can tune into our Facebook, Blake Lubinas, Pat Bertroche, Doc and Lefty, because we have to go. And again, Blake got the last word in on me, which is my fault. He is a lawyer after all. We're going to be back here next week from 6 to 7 p.m. We want to thank our guests, Morgan Hart and Ashley Hook, for stopping by. Next week, hopefully we'll have some people in from the MMA fights that are going to go on next weekend. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com. We'll be back next week.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both of them.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.